When my relatives saw the beautifully arranged quality meat courses delivered, they all exclaimed, "Wow, that looks delicious. This is so fancy," but in front of me, there was only a solitary cup of tea. My mother-in-law peeked out from behind the door, grinning in a sly, almost childish way. How typical, I thought. Even today, she couldn't resist trying to torment me. I blurted out, "It's been so long since the family got together. Delicious food should be enjoyed by everyone in the family, right?" But her food grudges were legendary, and I decided it was time to teach her a lesson. "My name is Sarah, I'm 35 years old, and I work in an office. I live with my husband, Jake, who is the youngest of 3 brothers. Jake is kind, easygoing, and we've been married for 5 years. We don't have kids yet, but I've recently started trying to get pregnant. Every time I see my mother-in-law, she pesters me with, 'Still no grandkids?' I've been carefully watching my sleep, nutrition, and timing, but there's one thing holding me back. I'll likely need her help if I have a child." She's almost 66, divorced, and living alone, but she's still active and works part-time. Despite that, it's clear she despises me. To her, I'm the woman who stole her precious youngest son. Once, when Jake and I visited her, he stepped away to use the bathroom. The moment he left, she shot me a sharp look and said, "Sarah, hasn't Jake gained weight?" I shook my head. "I don't think so." "Oh, he definitely has. It's your duty to keep your husband healthy. If he gains weight, he'll get sick." "What are you feeding him? Greasy junk food?" I was dumbfounded. I try to prepare balanced meals, and besides, I can't control what Jake eats at work or when he's out with friends. Maybe it would be more effective to mention this to him directly, I said, trying to stay calm. "What? That would hurt his feelings. It's your job to look after him." I sighed inwardly. Do I really have to babysit a grown man? When Jake returned, I asked him outright, "Honey, have you gained weight recently?" "Huh? No, actually, I've lost a little," he said. The air froze. My mother-in-law's face turned pale as she snapped, "Lost weight? Sarah, are you starving him?" She suddenly flipped her accusation, claiming I wasn't feeding him enough. Jake looked bewildered. "Mom, that's not true. Everything's fine." But she was relentless. "If people start gossiping that you're a terrible wife because Jake looks too skinny, it'll be your fault." Sarah. I was speechless. Whether Jake gains or loses weight, I'm the one getting blamed. The tea-only dinners. Visiting her house for dinner is no better. She insists we come over often, so we do, mostly out of politeness. She serves beautifully plated seasonal dishes, fresh raw fish, seasonal vegetables, warm corn soup, and fried rice. Everyone is served, except me. All I get is a cup of tea. Once, I tried to clarify. I didn't say I wasn't hungry." "Oh, but you said you didn't want anything, didn't you?" she said, feigning innocence. "I didn't say that." "Well, sorry, I must have misunderstood. You know, I'm just an old lady." At first, I believed her, but the pattern repeated every time. She'd apologize with her classic line, "I'm just a forgetful old woman," leaving me unable to call her out without looking petty. Finally, I had enough. After being served only tea for the 3rd time, I stood up. "Let me help you, Mom," I said, heading to the kitchen. I served myself some rice and soup and then sat down, grabbing a few side dishes from Jake's plate. She frowned. "Sarah, I told you to stay out of the kitchen, and now you're taking your husband's food?" I smiled sweetly. "Your cooking is just so delicious." I couldn't resist. Jake looked uncomfortable, but finally spoke up. "Come on, Mom, this isn't like you. There's no reason to give Sarah a hard time." "Oh, no, it's not like that," she stammered. "It was just an old habit. I must have miscounted." Her excuse was weak, and I was now sure her actions were deliberate. Turning the tables. The next time we visited, she prepared chicken and eggs for the main course, foods I couldn't eat because of allergies. When I stared at my cup of tea, wondering what to do, Jake stepped in. "Mom, you remember Sarah can't eat chicken and eggs, right? Did you make something else for her?" Caught off guard, she stammered. "Oh, of course, I thought I'd order takeout for her." "Sarah, pick whatever you'd like." I smiled. "Thank you, I'll have fries." Her face twitched, but she couldn't back out. When the fries arrived late, I savored them, ignoring her displeasure. Small victories like these remind me to stay resilient. One day, I'll do more than just hold my ground. I'll teach her that respect goes both ways. I slightly regretted ordering fries. I knew my mother-in-law wouldn't let it slide and would probably make some snide comment like, "Fries are for children." I also decided not to mention that I could eat eggs as long as they weren't raw. There was no point in giving her ammunition. The petty battle between us continued. Once, I proudly brought over some homemade dishes under the guise of sharing. I prepared seasoned rice and simmered vegetables, packing them neatly in a container. I thought, if there's no meal for me, at least I can eat this. But my mother-in-law was one step ahead. "Why did you bring something so dirty?" she asked, frowning in exaggerated disgust. "Dirty?" I was taken aback. "The rice and vegetables, everything's brown. You should think about presentation," she sneered, sounding like a self-proclaimed aristocrat. "But it's delicious," I countered. "I came up with the recipe myself." "You really have no taste," she said bluntly, so careless and no sense of refinement at all. For some reason, this time she didn't hold back and insulted me outright. Then, as if to add insult to injury, she picked up my container and dumped its contents into the trash. "It had gone bad," she said with a dismissive wave. My anger boiled over. "That's not possible." At that moment, Jake walked in. "What's going on? Why are you shouting?" My mother-in-law's fierce expression instantly morphed into a sweet smile. "Oh, Sarah's cooking had gone bad, so I threw it out." Jake frowned. "That's too bad, it's usually so tasty." "Tasty? That brown food?" she muttered under her breath. I was livid. Wasting food is something I simply cannot forgive. That day, as usual, I had only tea. I drank it down defiantly while my mother-in-law smirked, clearly enjoying my frustration. A festive family gathering. A week later, we all gathered for my niece's birthday. Jake's 3 brothers, their families, and several relatives we hadn't seen since our wedding were there. The atmosphere was lively, with laughter and chatter filling the air. The tables were pushed together in the recreation room, creating a long banquet setup. My mother-in-law spared no expense for the occasion. The table was lavishly set with appetizers, soup, salad, steak, mashed potatoes, and desserts, all restaurant-quality dishes. Everyone marveled at the spread, exclaiming, "Wow, this looks amazing, and so luxurious." Pleased with the praise, my mother-in-law said, "I indulged, because it's been so long since the whole family got together. Let's enjoy these delicious dishes together." But at my seat, as always, there was only tea. My mother-in-law peeked out from behind a sliding door, smirking at me. Even on such a joyous occasion, she found a way to torment me. I felt conflicted. If I pointed out the lack of food at my place, the relatives, unaware of her antics, might offer to share their dishes, which would only give her an excuse to say, "Oh, I must have forgotten, silly me," and then, she'd likely whisper behind my back, "Sarah's so greedy." As I sipped my tea, anger bubbled inside me. I wanted her to admit her pettiness and apologize. Instead, she continued smirking, relishing my discomfort. Finally, I stood up. "Thank you for the meal. It seems I'm not considered family, so I'll be leaving now. Please, everyone, enjoy yourselves." The room fell silent. The relatives exchanged confused glances, whispering to each other. "What's going on? Is something wrong?" someone asked. Feigning innocence, my mother-in-law tilted her head. "Oh my, what's the matter, Sarah?" "There's no meal for me," I said plainly. Her face shifted to mock surprise. "Oh, dear, what should we do? How careless of me." "Come on, what are you talking about? You knew exactly what you were doing," I said, my voice cold. Calmly, she walked over with a tray. "Here it is. I just forgot to put it at your seat. No need to make such a fuss," she said with a smug smile. I looked down at the tray, and my stomach sank. It wasn't the steak and sides everyone else had. Instead, it was filled with egg salad, thick omelets, and pudding, all things I couldn't eat due to my egg allergy. My hands trembled. This was deliberate. Jake noticed and stepped in. "Mother, this is terrible. You know Sarah's allergic to eggs." Feigning shock, she gasped, "Oh my, I didn't order this. Could the restaurant have made a mistake?" I was seething but kept my composure. At that moment, my niece peeked at the egg-filled tray and exclaimed, "Can I have some?" The children at the table, not too fond of rare steak, eagerly traded their meat courses for the egg dishes. Now, in front of me was a plate of perfectly cooked steak and sides. "Well, then," I said with a smile, picking up my knife and fork, "thank you for the food." Before I could take a bite, my mother-in-law interjected, "Hold on, you must not know this, so let me teach you. Normally, daughters-in-law only eat the appetizers." Her words echoed through the room. I froze, my knife and fork still in hand. Finally, she had revealed her true colors. Taking advantage of the silence, she snatched the meat courses away from me and scolded, And you shouldn't give your food to the children, they need to eat everything, including their steaks. Her malicious smile sent chills down my spine. The other daughters-in-law exchanged uneasy glances and began to apologize. I'm sorry for eating the steak, even though I'm just the daughter-in-law. I'm sorry for drinking the soup, even though I'm just the daughter-in-law. And I'm sorry for eating the mashed potatoes, even though I'm just the daughter-in-law. The sight of them apologizing one after another shook the room. No, that's not what I meant, my mother-in-law stammered. When I said daughter-in-law, I meant Sarah. The daughters-in-law looked at her coldly. We're daughters-in-law too. Does that mean we're not recognized as family either? My mother-in-law's face flushed as she struggled to explain. I took a deep breath and addressed the room. Mother always serves me tea, nothing else, every single time we visit. It's because I'm not considered part of the family, but treating me like this, knowing I have an egg allergy, that's too much. The relatives began murmuring in disapproval. My mother-in-law's carefully crafted image started to crumble as she tried, and failed, to come up with an excuse. Oh, I completely forgot about your allergy, Sarah. I could have sworn you liked eggs, but maybe I was mistaken, my mother-in-law stammered, her tone full of false innocence. But you just said you didn't order this, didn't you? I replied sharply, my frustration bubbling over. Did I say that? Did I really? She mumbled, her web of lies beginning to unravel. You did this on purpose, didn't you? You've always been like this. My husband, Jake, interjected, his voice cold and steady. The accusation made her visibly pale. Stop it, Mom, this isn't right, Jake continued, his disappointment evident. It's not like that at all, she cried, desperately trying to deny her actions, but it was too late. The truth hung heavy in the room. So, you never really considered Sarah part of the family, Jake said, his voice, though calm, carried a weight that silenced everyone. Then I guess I'm not family either. Sorry for thinking I was all this time. Her face crumpled as her sons exchanged incredulous glances. Jake's brothers chimed in. Mom, what's going on? Are you harassing Sarah like this? One of them asked. No, it's just Sarah, she blurted out, a slip of the tongue that exposed her true intentions. Her panic was palpable. The relatives, sensing the shift in tone, began finishing their meals and quietly leaving the table. The daughters-in-law, one by one, placed money on the table as if signaling their resignation from the farce. My mother-in-law's demeanor crumbled further. I didn't mean for it to come out that way, she stammered, her voice trembling, but the damage was done. The egg courses sat untouched before me, their presence a silent reminder of her petty cruelty. I glanced at them, then at Jake, who gave me a small nod. I picked up my fork. This is delicious, I declared after taking a bite. The aroma of the omelet is irresistible. My voice was light, but my words carried weight. Sarah, stop eating that, my mother-in-law shrieked, trying to snatch the plate away. Jake grabbed her arm, his voice firm. Mom, you need to apologize for everything. If it wasn't Sarah, it could have been someone else, and they might not have stayed as strong. Her bitterness twisted her face, and she finally snapped. Yes, I knew about her allergy. I didn't like her. She took my last son away from me. The room fell silent, her confession echoing loudly. I wasn't ready to let him go, she continued, her voice cracking. I wanted him to stay here, with me, where I could take care of him. Jake's expression darkened. Mom, I'm 40 years old. What did you expect? For me to live here until I was 50, 60? Her protest was feeble, and any sympathy she might have garnered evaporated. The conversation was interrupted by a cheerful voice at the door. It was the delivery man, here to collect the trays. Oh, I didn't realize this was your house, he said to me, surprised. I thought it was just another delivery. I smiled politely. It's my in-laws' house, but I recognized your restaurant's dishes right away from the taste. I've been a frequent customer. My mother-in-law's confusion grew as she listened. Wait, what do you mean? She asked, her voice faltering. I said, meeting her gaze. I've been stopping by his restaurant because you never prepare food for me. The delivery man, oblivious to the tension, chuckled. Oh, so this is the famous mother-in-law I've heard about, the one who forgets her daughter-in-law's meals. Her face turned ashen. That's enough, she snapped, trying to shut the door on him, but the damage was already done. Jake sighed, looking at her with a mix of disappointment and resolve. Mom, you've always wanted us to come over, but I think it's best if we don't visit anymore. Don't say that, she cried, her voice desperate. Just come, even if it's only you. Jake shook his head. No, "Mom, my wife is my family, and if she's not welcome, neither am I." Her protests faded into silence as we left the house together. From that day forward, Jake's brothers and their wives also began to distance themselves. It turned out they'd been mistreated in similar ways, but had remained silent out of fear or resignation. Despite her attempts to contact Jake secretly, he stood firm. "Mom, I don't need your cooking anymore, and I won't be coming back for a while," he told her. Over time, the bonds between her and her family frayed, her actions leaving her isolated. Meanwhile, Jake and I looked forward to a brighter, happier chapter, one built on mutual respect, love, and, of course, delicious meals shared as a family.